We're looking at support material 5. Last week we ended with the discussion about credits. Okay. Today we're looking at career planning. All right. So I'm going to start off by asking you, what do you want to be? What career are you looking at having in terms of what's the goal? What's the dream? When you're a child, you obviously have these big dreams in terms of being whatever the case might be, depending on you as a person. So what was that goal? When you were growing up, what did you want to be?
Quite a few things.
So what were they?
Not like a traffic cop when I was a kid. Then I looked down an auditor after school. Then I looked at financial management, and I'm still a bit confused.
Still a bit confused. Okay, so you're not too sure what you want to do.
No.
But are you? Do you know what industry you want to be in?
I like working with the bigger side of it, like
Numbers.
So similar to bookkeeping, it's similar to that.
Yes.
I enjoyed that. I don't know for formats, but I enjoyed it.
Okay. So you're looking at going back into that sort of position or role?
That kind of role, yes.
Okay. All right. So in terms of career, do you agree we need to have a plan, right? There needs to be some sort of goal or, let's say, direction.
Good direction.
Okay. So what are we going to be doing, and how is that going to move us closer towards that goal? Okay. Is a career a job, though?
But it is.
Is it?
Isn't it like something you do the rest of your life? Well, it's not really a job thing.
Exactly. So do you agree a career is a collection or culmination of all the things that you've done, right? So all the experiences you've had in terms of different positions perhaps, or different industries that you've worked in, right? Okay, so a career isn't just a job. It isn't just a title. Okay, so, or let's say it isn't a role that you're playing. Okay, it's more than that. Okay, career means everything. Okay, in terms of what is it that you're actually doing that builds maybe your character in terms of who you are as a person. Okay, a career generally defines who you are. Okay, so what sort of careers can we get? Okay, so give me one example. A career. A career would be defined as what? Give me an example of a career.
Teaching or doing bookkeeping, accounts.
Okay, teaching, bookkeeper, or accounts. So the career for, let's say, an accountant, okay, or a bookkeeper. What would the career be for an accountant or a bookkeeper? What would that career look like?
I'll start studying and then do know the background knowledge, and I'll start their first job becomes a junior. Then over time I'll move up the ladder if there's a ladder on bookkeeping. I don't think there is, and that's not.
Well, you can always become maybe a supervisor, maybe a manager, and ultimately maybe like a director or an executive perhaps.
Then you can become what I was thinking of that, it's just bookkeeping, you do the books and that's it. It's not.
But is that always the case? Most people have to start somewhere, right?
Yes,
Okay, so yeah, if you do start as a bookkeeper, is that the limit?
No, it isn't.
No, okay, because bookkeeping is just a skill that can help you with your career. Okay, so do you agree? Sometimes we start here, okay, and we end there. Okay, but if I'm looking at career, do you agree? From where you started to where you ended, there's a lot of learning that takes place, okay, or development that takes place. Okay, and is that going to help you?
Yes, but all the knowledge.
Of course, yes.
But skills.
Correct. Knowledge, skills, that's key. Okay, that's key for development. Right, so if I'm looking at the outcomes in this module, you're looking at the importance. So why is it important to plan in terms of your career? Okay, we've looked at credit planning. Why is it important to plan in terms of credit? Why is it important to plan in terms of a budget? Okay, here we're looking at why is it important to plan in terms of a career? Okay, and how does that affect us financially? Okay, and we're also going to look at choosing a career. Okay, so what does that involve? Right? What influence will your studies have, okay, on the type of opportunities you can get? Okay, so if you haven't studied medicine, can you become a doctor?
No, you can't.
Right, you need some sort of skill set or base in order to do certain tasks or roles. Okay. We'll look at cost of studying. Okay, so what does that involve? We'll also look at starting a business versus working for someone else. Okay, that's one of the learning outcomes in this module. And the last is finding employment. Okay, so to start off, I asked you, what did you want to be when you were younger? Okay, so you said police officer.
That's right, but then my parents completely said, no, I think it was that enough people get shot.
Okay, so you changed your mind because your parents had influenced you in terms of it might be a very dangerous profession perhaps. Okay, you might get shot on the job, etc. Okay, so what do you want to be now? You said? Bookkeeper, accountant, financial manager. Okay, so let's say financial manager.
Some of parents tell me, it's just that they always just say, no, I mean, I've seen on TV and people get murdered out of the off-duty son.
Okay, so do you agree what you want when you were younger compared to what you want now is quite different, right? And why is it different? Why did it change? So why did police officer change? I mean, some people can be police officers for years. They can even retire as a police officer and never ever get shot, perhaps. Okay, so is being a police officer a dangerous profession? Perhaps. Okay, again, it's a matter of perspective. Right, but why did you change in terms of having had this, let's say, goal of being a police officer when you were younger, and now being a financial manager? What created that change in terms of goal or profession or career?
Not because the parents said, no, not good, but that's not good. But also the pain. It's also, I don't know how wild it's I don't think it's that high.
Okay, so you've looked at two things, right? Obviously, family influencing your decision, okay, and also consideration for pay, okay, remuneration, and lifestyle. All right. So, if we're looking at these two, okay, what are you basing your decision on? When you were younger, why did you want to be a police officer? Was it because of the pay? It was because of the passion, probably. You probably like to serve, or you probably want to protect. Yeah, I mean, when you're young, you're probably like cowboys and Indians, and you're going around with like play guns and stuff, right? So, in terms of when you were younger, do you agree when we were younger, we were looking at careers more in terms of passion? Okay, so when we're young, we're looking at what do we like to do? What do we love doing? What are some of the things we would do without any consideration in terms of being remunerated for it? Okay, that's passion. That's when we're young. Okay, when we're young, we're just looking at things in terms of how we feel about it. Okay, so do I feel like being a police officer? Well, when I was young, definitely. Okay, it's a cool profession. They're respected. The community looks up to them. Okay, all right. And now you've obviously changed it. So why do you want to be a financial manager?
That's the thing, I'm not sure.
You're not sure. Okay, well, you already said two things, right? Your parents want you to be a financial manager. They said it's probably better than being a police officer.
It's much better than
Yes, and you spoke about remuneration. Okay, so correct. Okay, so if I'm looking at now, what do we base decisions on now? Unfortunately,
it's not financial.
Finances. Correct. Financial gain, maybe. Okay, in terms of, so you're wanting to be a financial manager because of the profit, inverted commas, the financial gain. Okay, so how are you approaching career planning? Are you doing things because you're doing it for the love of doing it, or you're doing it because you want to get paid? What should we do? All right, so in terms of being a police officer, okay, obviously you get police officers that are doing it because of the money, and you have police officers that are doing it because of the passion. Okay, which police officer would be more successful? Besides that, the police officer that's doing it because they love policing, or the police officer that's doing it because they want a paycheck? Exactly. Okay, same thing with the financial manager, right? Do you think a financial manager is going to do very well and be a success if they're doing it just for the paycheck, or they're doing it because of the passion?
passion, yeah.
The passion. So what do you feel passionate about doing? Do you have certain, let's say, interests or topics or areas in your life that you would do without anyone paying you to do it? Things that you do just because you want to do it.
I like looking at graphs, but that's
Graphs.
that's most of the stuff financial, isn't it?
Okay, so day to day. So if you look at a day, during the day you find yourself working with graphs, working with figures. Really? All right. No, but okay, we're not talking about when you were at the auditor. We're talking about now, currently. So during your day to day, your week by week, your month to month, okay, what do you find yourself doing that you enjoy that could be seen as a profession or a career?
I like making bookkeeping entries and that.
Is that what you're doing day to day?
I enjoy it when I spend money. I make on other people's money. I make like Excel sheets of the figures.
Okay, and that's something that you find you do day to day in terms of where you spend most of your time. Okay.
I spend money, so it's not every day.
Yes. Okay, but that's good. So you probably are going to be a very, very, very successful financial planner because they are going to be doing things like that day to day. Okay, so if that's your passion, okay, you're going to be successful. All right, because that's what you're passionate about. Okay, so obviously this can change over time. Okay, but your core normally stays the same. So you know certain things that you enjoy and you know certain things you don't. Okay, not everyone can maybe be a police officer. Not everyone can be a financial manager. It depends on the type of person you are as well. Okay, so what short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals do you have that's going to help you achieve this FM, financial manager? Okay, so if that's the goal, that's what you want to be, what are the short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals then?
So I can start working the job.
Okay, perfect. So short-term will be, let's say, 1 to 2 or 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
Okay, so in the next 2-3 years, you should be finished your degree. Perfect. Medium-term?
Start with a job where at least it's helping me, not just day to day, but at least get better.
Okay, so getting the experience.
Experience, that's what I mean. So
Yes.
that way.
Okay, good. And then the long-term goal?
Finding a company, putting more experience and just having enough to go on.
Okay. All right. So those are goals to help you achieve what?
Young financial manager.
Okay, the role. Okay, that's what you want to be. Okay. All right. So when looking at this, the aim, okay, in terms of career planning. So if we're wanting to know what is career planning, okay, the textbook defines it as the topic providing an understanding of the influence of the productive use of resources throughout one's life in achieving independence after retirement. Okay, so what is career planning? Is it about a specific job or a specific career? No, what is it about? A career is... Oh, sorry, pressed the wrong button there. A career is resources, okay, that you've used throughout one's life. Okay, so it's everything. Okay, remember we said it's more of a culmination of everything that you do. Okay, so you can't just say, well, I'm a doctor, and that's it. Okay, well, you can't say I'm an accountant, and that's it. Okay, you could be an accountant that has an interest in maybe charity work, or maybe you're an accountant who has a passion in extreme sports. Okay, so on weekends you're diving out of planes, and you're going scuba diving, and all of these like maybe more inverted commas extreme type of scenarios. Okay, obviously accountants should be more, let's say, if we put a stereotype on the career, maybe more, what's the right word? Maybe more reserved, okay, more quiet, more introvert rather than extrovert. Okay, but again, people are different. Okay, you might get accountants that are very, let's say, academic, very focused, very, let's say, inverted commas, normal, i.e., okay, not going on extreme, let's say, sport type of excursions and that type of thing, but their experience or their resources that they've used throughout their life is going to either help them or maybe, let's say, put them on or off track in terms of achieving independence after retirement. Okay, so do you agree, if I'm looking at career planning, okay, career planning is all about a job, or is it financial freedom?
What a job.
No.
Financial freedom.
Yes. Okay, it's about achieving that independence. Okay, it's about creating a it's like a product almost. Okay, it's like you're trying to create a product. Okay, careers don't automatically appear out of nowhere. Okay, you have to work at your career. Okay, it takes effort, okay, to build a career. Okay, so when you look at a financial manager, okay, so why do you want to be a financial manager? You've probably seen a financial manager before,
Yes,
or you probably know a financial manager.
no, I don't know. I've seen it.
Okay, so do you agree, if you had to sit down and talk with a financial manager, okay, maybe that's something that you should do. You're busy finishing off your degree, maybe find a financial manager that would be willing to maybe meet with you and almost act as like a mentor to assist you with achieving your goal. Okay, if your goal is to be a financial manager, why not go to the financial manager or find a financial manager and ask them, how do I achieve that goal? If that's the goal that you're wanting to achieve. Okay, because the best person to ask how to do something is the person already doing it, right?
Yes.
Okay,
But I got experience.
exactly, good. Right, so what is a career? It's not a job, it's achieving financial freedom. Okay, by building and working on your day-to-day, let's say, resources or use of your resources. Okay, so day-to-day, improve your skills, improve your knowledge, improve whatever the case might be, okay, to then ultimately achieve a certain goal at the end. Okay. All right, so a lifelong sequence of work or role-related experiences. Okay, that's one definition of a career. Okay, these are different definitions that the textbook and the study guide refer to in terms of career. Okay, so that's one way of looking at it. A lifelong sequence of work or role-related experiences. Okay, so everything you do in your lifetime adds to your career. Okay, so if you are a adrenaline junkie and you are wanting to skydive and do extreme sports, okay, that's part of your lifelong sequence of work or role related experiences. Okay, it's part of who you are. It's part of the type of person you are. Okay. And the other definition is the accumulation of information, knowledge, and skills, okay, expertise and relationship networks acquired through an evolving sequence of work. Okay, so that's the accumulation of all the people you've met, all the knowledge that you've gained, all the experience that you have, okay, or that you had, okay, the relationships that you build, right, and that creates expertise, or let's say a body of knowledge, okay, in terms of resources that can help you achieve certain or complete certain tasks, okay, or achieve certain goals. Right, it's the accumulation, i.e., everything that you do. Okay, so what is a career? Is a career just a once-off, it's my job? No, it's a lot more than that. It's not just your job, it's everything that you do. Okay, because a job is a job. Anyone can do the job. Okay, a job is just a task that you've been given, okay, to do for a particular organization. Okay, be it your own, be it someone else's, doesn't matter. But that's a job. A job is just a task that needs to be complete. Okay, a career is more than just a job. Okay, a career is everything that you do. Okay, your family, your friends, your relationships, your network, your knowledge, skills, everything. Okay, it's all encompassing. It's taking everything that you can do or that you have done to create something of value, right, in your life. Okay, so your career should have meaning to you, and your career should have meaning to others as well. Okay, right, so which is better? Okay, starting your own business or working for someone else? Is there a better option, inverted commas?
It's either or, but it's better
Yeah.
to start your own business.
It depends on a perspective. Okay, both have their pros and cons. All right, so it all depends on you in terms of your career planning. Okay, so Robert, what do you want? Do you want to start your own business or do you want to work for someone else? Which side are you leaning towards?
Work for someone else, so that at least I'm not going to risk losing financially and my homeless.
Okay.
It's security, man. Like basic security.
Yes. All right. So good. Okay. So that's the choice that you make. Everyone makes a choice. Okay. So we're either leaning more towards starting a business, or we're leaning more towards working for someone else. Okay. Or it could be a bit of both. Okay. Or it could be working for someone else while starting your own business. Okay. There's a lot of different options. Okay. So if you're looking at career planning, okay, there's no clear, let's say, there's no route. Okay, so for example, there's not a defined path, and that's the only path. Okay, there's no one route to a destination. Okay, if this is the destination, so if I'm trying to get from A to B, okay, there's no one route to get to A to B. Okay, there could be a few different routes, right? But it still leads to the same place. Okay, so for example, if you're wanting to be, let's say, a CA, okay, obviously there's a certain route that you need to go in terms of education, okay, but CAs don't all have to just come out of school and then jump into a degree, study for 3 years, do honors, write the board exams, and then be a CA. Okay, there could be other routes to get there. Okay, after matric, you might have worked, okay, straight out of school, right? Maybe you got an opportunity to be an admin person, and from there you maybe did a diploma, maybe you did a certificate, and from there it leads you towards eventually studying to become a CA, because that's how you find your passion, perhaps. Right? Some people don't study straight out of school. Right? Did you study straight out of school?
No,
Okay, so what did you do after school?
I had a gap year to go to my master's for maths and science.
Okay, good. So there you took a gap year. Right, so during your gap year, besides improving your marks for maths and science, what else did you do? Did you do any part-time jobs, or?
Actually, not.
So it was all focused on improving your marks?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, good. Okay, so that was your choice that you had to do, okay, in terms of your direction. Okay, someone else might have just got out of school, took a gap year, went traveling, and because of the travels that they've gone on, they then find something that they're passionate about doing. Okay, some people never ever study. Right? I think we can check it. But Bill Gates dropped out of Harvard. Okay, but Bill Gates today is very, very educated, very, very skilled. Okay, why? Right, you don't need a piece of paper to say you can do something. Okay, he can do stuff. Okay, he's improved himself in terms of knowledge and information. Okay, they were talking about that on the radio the other day. 702 had they were what are they discussing? They were talking about how certain people start in a particular profession but then evolve and end up in something totally different. Okay, so this one lady, she was a lawyer. Okay, and she was a lawyer for, I think, 2 or 3 years, okay, somewhere around there. And then after having done law for so long, right, she found a passion for yoga. She just enjoyed doing it. Okay, so she did the law thing for a few years, and eventually she started her own yoga studio. And now that's what she does. She's turned her hobby of yoga, something that she did just to relax and to, let's say, like a time out in a way, so away, like time away from the work, okay, the law profession, right, and that resonated with her, and that became her career, right? So now she owns her own business. She goes around doing all sorts of classes for yoga, right? So she'll pitch up at a corporate, okay, and they'll have like a yoga session or other clients and that. But that's what she does. Okay, that was one of the stories that was on the radio. Okay, on 702. Okay, so there's no right or wrong answer here. Starting your own business or working for someone else. Okay, it all depends on you. Okay, what is important though in terms of career planning is, what is the ultimate goal of personal financial planning? We spoke about it right at the beginning, study unit 1. What's the goal? It's to achieve financial independence. Okay, so you don't have to rely on anyone. You don't have to rely on the state, okay, government. You don't have to rely on family. You don't have to rely on friends. Okay, you don't need to rely on anyone other than what you can do. Okay, in terms of independence. Okay, financial independence. Okay, that's the goal. Right. So in order to help it, or in order to achieve that goal of financial independence, career planning can help with that goal. Okay, obviously, the better you build your career, okay, hopefully the more financial independence you'll be. Okay, Right, so two things to consider. A process of obtaining knowledge and information. That's key. Okay, that came from chapter 1 as well. Remember, it's about education. People aren't financially independent, not because they don't know how to, let's say, work and succeed in inverted commas, but it's because they don't know how to manage finances, perhaps. Okay, so everything you do throughout your life is a lesson. Okay, it's a lifelong learning process. Okay, where knowledge and information is key to help you with generating, let's say, the right skill set to make certain decisions. Okay, obviously decisions will affect earning power, wealth, and standard of living. Okay, so the decisions we make will affect us in different areas in our life. Okay, if you're focusing on career, okay, maybe family is going to have to be on the sideline. Right, if you're focusing on building your career, okay, so you're the type of person that wants the title of director or executive. Okay, you're probably going to put in more hours in your job than someone else who's not interested in being a director or an executive, but more focused on building a family. Okay, or having a healthy family environment. Okay, because think about it, it's difficult to spend time with the family, but then also spend time on your job. Right? You can only spend time in one of the two areas. Okay, so there's an opportunity cost. Where are you going to spend time? Okay, the question that you need to answer is, what's important to you? Okay, is family more important than career? Or is career more important than family? Okay, if career is more important than family, right, you're going to say, well, sorry, family, I'm not going to go with you on holiday. We can't book the next trip. Why? Well, I need to work on this big deal that needs to be done, or whatever the case might be. Okay, sometimes there needs to be certain sacrifices that need to be made. Okay, so maybe you sacrifice family in the short term, hopefully with the payoff of maybe being more financially secure at a later stage, to then maybe spend more time with your family. Right, again, it's a balance. It's a balancing act. Okay, you need to decide as a person, where are you spending most of your time? And we spend time in places that are important to us. Okay, that's why I was trying to ask you, where do you spend most of your time? Or what do you spend most of your time doing? Because if you know where you spend most of your time, do you agree that's where you're going to be more successful? Right, so it doesn't matter what, let's say you're a fitness freak. Okay, so someone who just loves gymming, someone who just loves going to the gym and training and that. So for that individual, they're going to be brilliant at fitness. Okay, they're going to be healthy, they're going to be strong, they're going to be athletic, and all sorts of things, right? Okay, because that's what they're passionate about doing. Right, they'll be at the gym without anyone having to force them to be at the gym. Okay, so that's what you need to try find or discover is, where do you spend most of your time and what do you spend most of your time doing? Right, and try to turn that into a career or turn that into a profession. Okay, so in terms of career, what sort of jobs do we have today in the 21st century that we never had before? Okay, computer programming. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so programming. Let's talk about programming. Okay, do you think we have more programmers today than we did before? Yes. Okay, so people who love to code, all right, there's a career for them to do. Okay, if you're brilliant with computers, you can make that a career. Okay, because that's something that's important to you in terms of your career planning. Okay, what about things like blogging? Do we know what a blog is? Okay, well, yeah, then you get vlogs, okay, video blogs, okay, you get social media, so maybe like a YouTube type of situation, okay, so you might be a YouTube celebrity, okay, so there are people out there that generate content for a living, and that's what they do. They write blogs all the time, and that's what they do. A blog is it's like a website where you post articles, okay, that you write about a topic that you're passionate about. Okay, so some people love, I don't know, let's talk about sport. The Olympics are on, so maybe you love rowing and you just love rowing. It's a sport that you're passionate about. You might start a blog for rowing. for rowers. Okay, so rowers that are starting out come to my blog and read about what does it mean to be a successful rower. Okay, or a vlog would be a video blog. So there you post videos, short videos about something. Okay, it could be anything. Right, YouTube as well. Okay, YouTube is content. Okay, so Google pays content providers for doing or creating content. Okay, because without the content, YouTube is useless. All right, you need people to create content. You need content to have visitors. Okay, to have hits, to have more viewers. Okay, so those are all careers that we've never ever had before. Think about social media. Okay, Facebook and Twitter. Some people have a job to sit and tweet and post all day long. Why? Because that's the type of career that they've created. Okay, in social media, right? Advertising, marketing, that type of thing. All right, so what do we need to do when choosing a career? What is a career? It's a way of life. Okay, it's how you do everything. It's everything that you've done and that you're still going to do, okay, or that you're doing that's part of who you are. Okay, so why is self-awareness important? Correct. Okay, it's to look at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Okay, SWOT. Right, so self-awareness is knowing who you are and knowing what resonates with you. Okay, so you need to know, what are you good at? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What opportunities do you have and what threats are there? Okay, so let's look at one of each. Okay, so give me one of your strengths.
Well, I like to do figures exactly at the spot, so I work to get the right exact figures.
Okay, good. So you're very accurate in terms of numbers and calculations. Great. Give me one of your weaknesses.
Spend too much time procrastinating.
Okay.
Is that a weakness?
Yes. Okay, so
That's not a problem.
spending too much time procrastinating. Okay, leaving things for last minute. Okay. Give me an opportunity that you have.
Well, I'm studying now to become a financial manager.
Okay, and a threat that would affect your life.
I'm running out of money, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I can't think of one.
All right, sure. Okay, that's fine. Okay, but that's self-awareness. Okay, obviously you would put a longer list of all those different items. Okay, the key items are these: strengths and weaknesses, because this you can control. Okay, opportunities and threats are external. Okay, we don't really have too much say about that. Okay, we don't know what opportunities are going to appear. Okay, opportunities can arise, threats can arise. We don't know. We can't be certain about that. Okay, but we can be certain about our strengths and our weaknesses. Okay, so you can be certain in terms of you know what you do well and you know what you don't do so well at. Okay, we can try focus on our strengths or we can try improve our weaknesses. Okay, so let's consider some of these questions. I want to look at the textbook on page 99. There are some questions here that I want to consider. Okay, I'm going to ask you one or two of them just to get you thinking about this whole idea of self-awareness. Okay, so Robert, do you like working with people?
Yes, I do.
Okay, do you prefer working with yourself or working in groups?
Not on myself.
Okay, do you enjoy taking risks?
No.
Okay, do you prefer stability and predictability in your work?
Yes.
Okay, right, do you prefer initiating your own work?
Yes, I do.
All right, do you prefer well-structured work, so knowing what the tasks are?
Yes, I do.
Okay, right, are you motivated by money?
No.
Okay, are you prepared to travel?
Yes, I am.
Okay, do you prefer working in one place or many?
One place.
Okay, so
Stability.
good. Okay, so these are just some of the questions that they talk about in terms of trying to uncover what do you like and what do you dislike. Okay, because if you don't know what you like and dislike, you're not going to know what type of career do you want. Okay, so if you're the type of person that loves traveling, are you going to be happy sitting in front of a computer the whole day?
No.
Okay, it's going to be very, very difficult to do that if you're the type of person that wants to be out there, that wants to see different places. Okay, and that's what you need to do. You need to go through as many questions as you can to try and cover what type of person you are, to create that self-awareness. Because once you have that self-awareness, you'll know what type of career suits you. Okay. Right, so how do we get to where we want to be?
We train it, just read now, education and training.
Correct. Okay, so it takes time. Okay, so time, effort, okay, and most important, education. Okay, so you need to have time to do whatever it is you want to do. You need to put in the effort. So hard work pays off. Okay, and you need to obviously educate yourself. All right, so education and training is key. Right, is education always needed?
Not always.
Okay, so you get different types of education. Okay, you get book smarts and you get street smarts. Okay, you've probably heard of that term before, right? Okay, so some people never ever go to any formal education, right? But those individuals aren't any less successful than people who have an education, right? Education doesn't guarantee success. Okay, no education also doesn't guarantee success, right? It's a mix of both. Okay, so some people study forever and ever and ever. Okay, and they've got book smarts. They're more the academics. Okay, then you get other people who are more street smart. Okay, those are the doers. Those are the ones that are actually physically out there in terms of gaining that experience. Okay, they're not the ones reading and learning the information. Okay, obviously there are pros and cons to both. Okay, maybe something to consider would be the cost of studying. Right, so sometimes people can't afford to study, right, or further their studies. Right, sometimes there are certain prerequisites for certain careers. Okay, so maybe you do require a certain amount of, inverted commas, book smarts to get a certain profession. Okay, but you also maybe need a certain amount of street smarts, okay, in order to get certain careers. Okay. Right, so what factors influence earning power? These are some of the factors. Okay, so your educational qualification. Right, so if you're someone with a PhD, okay, do you agree if you've got a PhD, right, you've got very, very, very high educational qualification. Okay, so a PhD should, or let's say a person with a PhD or maybe an MBA, okay, or a doctorate, right, something very, very high in terms of qualification, okay, would probably get paid more than someone with a diploma, right, or a certificate. Okay, so that's something to consider in terms of earning power. Not always, okay, but in most cases. Okay, the research focuses more on that. Okay, that's why education tends to be a priority for parents. Okay, parents want their children to be educated, right? Because with education should come more opportunity. Okay, more earning power. Okay. Also, earnings in specific careers, right? Certain careers offer better remuneration than others, right? So doctors are generally paid better than, let's say, cashiers. Okay, yeah. All right. Okay, so we'll just look at specific careers. Yeah, good. Okay, industries. Certain industries might pay better than others. Okay, just because of the type of industry. Right, something else to consider in terms of earning power is geography. Okay, so maybe because you're working in this country, you're getting paid more than if you're working in a different country. Okay, that's a possibility. Right, those are some of the factors that will affect earning power. Okay.
Also in this country, you got like Johannesburg, then you got
exactly.
small town like Sutherland.
Correct, good. 100%, that's geography, yes. Right, so working in Joburg, most people work in Joburg and they don't even live in Joburg in terms of their hometown. Right, so some people come from outside of Johannesburg or outside of Gauteng, okay, so from other provinces to work in Gauteng, Johannesburg, Pretoria. Why? Because there's more opportunity, okay, the geography. So maybe jobs in Joburg pay better than jobs in, I don't know, Sutherland, you mentioned that town. Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay, so that's a good point that you raised, okay, in terms of geography. Right, so if I'm looking at job hunting, if you're trying to find a job, what do you need to do? Okay, well, the textbook goes through 7 steps. They talk about doing research. Okay, so finding opportunities, right? Asking questions. So what does the job actually entail? Right, so if you want to be a doctor, what does that involve? If you want to be a lawyer, what does that involve? Okay, and then making a list. All right, so which types of jobs are you willing to do? Okay, not everyone is willing to be a doctor. Some people hate the sight of blood. Okay, I mean, you're going to be operating on live people. Okay, that might be too much for some people to handle. Okay, if you're the type of person who squirms and gets all uncomfortable when you see lots of blood and guts and all of that, okay, medicine is not going to be for you. Okay, right, or anything, let's say, even a police officer. Okay, also, if you can't take the sight of blood and let's say very violent situations and that's also not going to be the profession for you. Okay, so you need to make a list. Okay, after having done the research, after having asked the questions, right, what are you considering doing? Okay, so let's say if the job is accountant, okay, or bookkeeper or financial manager, which is what you're leaning towards. Okay, then you need to look at companies. Which companies would you be able to work for? Okay, you need to find information about those companies. Know the company. Know which company you want to work for. Okay, that could be part of your list. Which companies do I want to work for? Which companies don't I want to work for? That's a possibility. Okay, then you need to take action. And what does that involve? Sending your CV. Yeah, going for interviews and so on. Okay. Number 6 is where to look for a job. Okay, so you get different places. You could ask friends and family. You could look at a recruitment agency. You could look at job portals and websites and all sorts of things. Okay, and then number 7 is job hunting tips. Okay, so what tips would you give to someone who was looking for a job?
Just be calm, relax in your interview, to find a job.
Okay, so being calm is definitely something that you should try to do in terms of being at the interview. Correct. Okay, and if you're looking at job hunting, so the job that you got at the audit firm or the accounting role that you had, the bookkeeping, okay, how did you get that opportunity? What job hunting did you have to do to get that?
I walked into one business and I got the job instantly. I don't have to do it.
So you applied through their portal or their recruitment agency, or?
I just walked in the front door.
Oh, you walked in the front door. Okay.
That's what happened.
All right. So you were lucky. Okay, that was fortunate. Okay, good. Right. So that was something interesting that you've experienced in terms of helping you find a job. Okay, good.
I want to get that lucky again.
Well, it depends.
In my CV, went to interview.
Okay.
Next thing I knew,
Okay, good. All right. Okay, so owning your own business, being your own boss, okay, what does that involve? Okay, remember career planning is 2 things, having a job or running a business. There's 2. Okay, if you're looking at owning a business, then you need to be a jack of all trades. Okay, you should have skills in all areas, okay, because you are going to have to do generally everything when starting out. Okay, and it takes steps, small incremental steps. Okay, step by step by step. Okay, achieve something over time. Right. What happens if there is unemployment? So what is unemployment? How do the economists define unemployment?
able to work with current online jobs.
Correct. Okay, so what reasons could there be for unemployment?
Economy is down,
Okay, bad economy.
lack of businesses are closing,
Okay, lack of opportunity, so businesses are closing.
maybe the competition is also.
Competition. What else?
Um,
Lack of education, perhaps?
Education, yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of unemployment in South Africa. Why? It's probably because those people aren't skilled enough to do certain jobs. Okay, what else? What else?
Maybe there's too few regarding people, so garden workers, so there's like an oversupply. So
Correct, good.
Oversupply, so it's filled out, but that goes with education.
Yes, okay, so perhaps certain jobs are in demand and others aren't. Good. Okay, so how can we tackle unemployment?
Yes, education. for universities, even free education, that's what we're going on about now.
Correct, you're right. Okay, there's a what do they call a meeting or a
And they're having a meeting next today or something. I'm not
yes, you're right, and they're discussing that whole idea of trying to put a plan together to discuss the feasibility of free education, free tertiary education. Yeah.
sure. They also mentioned that we to go for high school as well.
Oh well, yeah. They're trying to look at the feasibility. Would it be sustainable? Would it be feasible? Good.
At the end of the day, I don't think so.
Well, let's see what ideas they come up with. I mean, South Africans are generally very innovative. Okay, and hopefully they maybe create a solution to this problem.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, other countries have created a system where education is, inverted commas, free. Okay, it's subsidized by government. Okay, but people get to study up until a certain period of time without having to pay too much. Okay.